Yo! What a dramatic start on Monday, December 1st, 2025. It's the day Luigi Mangioni's entire case almost blew up in real time. Not because of a new witness, not because of any new evidence, but because a 911 call, a backpack, and a 30-minute McDonald video turned Judge Cotto's courtroom into a constitutional battleground. You could actually feel the state's case wobbling on its hinges as each piece of evidence was attacked, defended, resurrected, and nearly destroyed, all right in front of our eyes. Luigi's defense team came in swinging aggressively, sought to suppress key items seized after Luigi Mangioni's arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania, principally a 9mm handgun, a notebook, aka manifesto, and the statements he made arguing the police searched his backpack and questioned him without proper constitutional safeguards. Prosecutors played the 911 call and showed surveillance arrest video to push back. Judge reserves major rulings while hearing testimony that cut both ways. What the hearing focused on, you might ask? What are the legal stakes? First, the backpack search. Defense says it was warrantless, an unconstitutional search. If the judge agrees with the defense, then everything inside, meaning the gun, the silencer, the journals, and everything inside is totally gone. Poof! Just like that. Although there are other evidence, losing the backpack would be a catastrophic blow to the prosecution's entire murder theory because the gun and notebook are central pieces of Luigi's case. Defense argues Luigi was questioned before being Mirandized, or that officers subtly elicited incriminating statements. The prosecution insists the surveillance video and the timeline show voluntary chatter, not interrogation. Defense argues that some of his alleged admissions during those conversations with prison guards should be suppressed. Surveillance video and timelines of questioning are key to this dispute. What about the prosecutors? What prosecutors did in court? Want to know how they fought back? Well, prosecutors literally played the actual 911 call that prompted police to go to the Altoona McDonald's and ultimately arrest Luigi there. The call includes a McDonald's worker who can also be heard literally saying customers thought a man looked like the NYC shooter, referencing clothing and eyebrows rather than unique features. The audio is played in open court and 100% authenticated. Prosecutors also played surveillance and arrest video from that McDonald's encounter, showing officers speaking with Luigi for more than 30 minutes, taking photos, frisking him, and then cuffing him. The prosecution argued the sequence and context absolutely do not support suppression. The video is shown to Judge Gregory Cotto and the entire courtroom audience. As it turns out, they presented a notable witness testimony, aka on-the-record drama. 911 coordinator authenticated the call and answered questions about the timing and what the caller reported. That call was what set officers in motion is now part of the factual narrative prosecutors use to justify the stop or the arrest. And then there's this Pennsylvania corrections officer. His name is Mr. Thomas Rivers. He testified in front of Judge Cotto about his contacts with Mangioni while he was detained at State Correctional Institution at Huntington, Pennsylvania. Mr. Rivers said Luigi Mangioni spoke about the healthcare system and told the officer that he wanted to make a statement. Luigi also further volunteered more crucial information, telling the corrections officer that he had a 3D printed pistol in his backpack. This is explosive testimony the prosecutors used to undermine the defense claim that incriminating talk was only elicited by police. Defense attorneys then cross-examined very aggressively, complete with snarky commentaries that Judge Cotto eventually had to scold. Whoa! KFA even managed to piss off Judge Cotto on the first day of this suppression hearing. Basically, the defense was trying to point to the lack of purposeful questioning and arguing those utterances were improper or coerced. During the feisty exchanges, Luigi watched the audio and video in court, intermittently taking notes. The courtroom atmosphere was very tense, with scorchingly hot, punchy exchanges between defense counsel and witnesses. So what are the main key factual points from day one? Well, the prosecution asserts the backpack contained a 9mm handgun they say matches the fatal weapon, plus a notebook with writings that prosecutors quote as motives in the manifesto. Please note that reference to whacking healthcare executives and praise for Ted Kaczynski also appears in the filings. Defense also argues chain of custody and constitutional problems. Additionally, surveillance videos shows officers conversing with Mangione for over 30 minutes before the arrest. That timeline is central to the Miranda or voluntariness arguments. Earlier this year, back in September, Judge Cotto dismissed certain state terrorism charges for lack of evidence. But Luigi Mangione still faces serious state murder counts and separate federal charges where the death penalty remains a possibility. The suppression rulings will shape the strength of the state's case. Now, let's break down the procedural posture along with what the judge did and likely next step. Judge Cotto heard arguments and testimony today, but did not issue a final dispositive ruling on suppression in open court. Instead, the matter will remain under submission while the judge weighs the record, as is typical in multi-day evidentiary hearings. The court set aside several days for full evidentiary sequence this week. Expect written decisions on particular motions or in-court rulings after very careful review. So, what makes Monday, December 1st super dramatic? Number one, the 911 call, a real human voice from Altoona describing a frantic customer, and the eyebrow line is raw, human, and odd. It played live in court, and then a prison guard saying Luigi Mangione mentioned a 3D printed pistol and that his action was done because he wanted to make a statement to the public, supplied a very sharp soundbite for coverage and courtroom theater. The defense pushed back hard on whether that was solicited or spontaneous. And then there's the video of the McDonald's interaction. It gives the public a visual timeline and invites scrutiny over whether officers escalated questioning without formal warnings. That video being shown is part of the immediate drama. So, what are some of the things to watch for in the coming days? Judge Cotto's written or on-the-record rulings on suppression of the gun, then the notebook, and also specific statements. Those rulings will materially change what evidence jurors can actually hear. Another thing to watch for is any defense success suppressing the notebook or gun that would blunt the prosecution's motive or means narrative. Also, you should watch for further witness testimony from police officers who conducted the search, forensic chain of custody witnesses, and additional correction staff. Their testimony will be dispositive for credibility calls. Monday's hearing was high stakes and theatrical. Prosecutors put into the record the 911 call and arrest footage to defend the legality of the stop and search, while the defense pressed hard on identification weaknesses and constitutional violations. And the most important thing you should watch for Judge Cotto, he listened to testimony from multiple witnesses, including SCI Huntington correction officers who testified about Luigi Mangione's own statement, because he is the one who reserves the final ruling. The outcome of these suppression motions will significantly shape whether the state's strongest evidence, the gun, and Luigi Mangione's own writing, can be shown to the jury. Before I end this video, let's talk about Miranda a little bit so you understand why the defense used the strategy using Miranda. Miranda does not depend on whether someone is already in prison. It depends on two things only. First, was the person in custody? Luigi is already incarcerated, so technically yes. But being in prison does not automatically equal Miranda custody for every conversation. Courts look at whether the situation was more coercive than normal prison life. Second thing is, was the person being subjected to interrogation? Interrogation means the questioning designed to get incriminating statements. So here's the rule. If Luigi was just talking voluntarily to a guard with no interrogation, Miranda warnings is not required. This is true even though he's already in prison. This comes from a Supreme Court case called Illinois versus Perkins, 1990, which held incarceration by itself does not trigger Miranda. Only custodial interrogation does. The court said that a prisoner is not automatically in Miranda custody just because they are behind bars. What matters is whether the police created a coercive interrogation environment beyond normal incarceration. If Luigi started talking on his own, was not questioned in a coercive way, or if Luigi was chatting casually, if Luigi was not asked targeted questions designed to pull incriminating information, if all those things match, then no Miranda warnings needed. Statements are admissible. All of us who know him so well already understand how much yappy he can be. Remember the time when he was found with a box of medical masks? His Pennsylvania lawyer defended him and said those were old leftover masks from COVID. All of a sudden, Luigi interrupted him, confessing he just purchased the box of masks. At that point, Tom Dickey had to shush him down and told him in front of the courtroom not to say a single word. Miranda would be required if the guard questioned him with the intent to elicit incriminating statements. Miranda would be required if the guard used pressure, threats, promises, or deception. Miranda would be required if the guard created a situation more coercive than ordinary prison routines. Miranda would be required if the guard acted as an agent of law enforcement specifically for the purpose to interrogate him. If that happened, then Luigi's statements might be suppressed. Miranda only applies during custodial interrogation. Being in prison covers the custody part, but there is no interrogation if Luigi was being chatty or simply volunteered information while chatting with a guard. Voluntary statements are fully admissible. Anywho, there are multiple days of Luigi's suppression hearing, and the stakes are still loudly screaming. One ruling could gut the state's case. Another could resurrect it. And until Judge Cotto's final decision, the biggest question in this entire murder prosecution remains burning in midair. What evidence will the jury actually get to see? Whatever the answer won't just shift the case, it will definitely rewrite Luigi's destiny. Boom, boom, out.